On this episode of the History of the Chorus podcast with Curtis and Josh, we continue our deep dive into the history of the band Norma Jean Part 2. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurviveByPro for news and new episode postings. And make sure to tell us what you think of the show by leaving us a review and a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta, army surrounded.
Welcome back to the History of the Chorus podcast, where each episode we take a deep dive into the history of a band from the core genre, which could be hardcore, metalcore, what have you. I'm Curtis.
I'm Josh.
And today, Josh, fingers crossed, we will finish the history of Norma Jean.
I like when you think about it, you're like, yeah, they have a long discography. That's a lot of albums.
Well,
But-
25 years of existence for one thing, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't realize once we started getting into it that so much time had passed and we'd only covered like 2 albums.
Well, we had a lot to talk about, besides just the facts. We wanted to put in our own 2 cents, our how we felt about albums and
That's
member
more what
changes
it's-
and such. So,
That's more what it's about. I'm not a fucking producer. Like we're not,
well, no, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say
This
these
is- this
guitars
is-
were, whatever.
Yeah. This is more, these are the facts and this is how, I
Right.
felt about this music.
I'm not going to sit there and say it sounds like that drum kit was recorded in a barn in Midwest Nebraska.
They're using
Yes,
a
that's
tin
right.
can around the
Using a tin
microphone.
can. Exactly. Yeah, if you're looking for that podcast, you've come to the wrong place. We are stating facts and then we're giving our opinions about those facts. Yeah. Is that about right? That sounds about right.
Facts and opinions about facts.
That sounds like a great podcast, right? So let's get into these facts and our opinions about these facts, Josh. Oh man, I think that's going to be our slogan now for I found the new intro to our podcast, the History of the Chorus podcast, a podcast about facts and our opinions on those facts.
I like that. I do like that.
All right, man, let's get into it because we still have a lot to go here, and like I said, fingers crossed we can get this thing knocked out in this episode here and just make it a 2-part episode or a 2-part history instead of 3 parts or 4.
We got 4 more albums.
Yeah, I think about 4 here because we are at Meridional,
Okay.
however the hell you say that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we got 5 more albums because we have to talk about the newest one that just came out too. So anyway, where we left off was just outside of 2019's release, Meridional, however you want to say it. But before they actually released that one, they released a single to promote this new album. This single actually, it didn't make it onto the album, but it did in a way. It's a bonus track, but the only way that you can get that bonus track is if you bought the CD from Best Buy. That's the only way you could get this single. Now, back then you could. Now you can actually get it if you buy the whole album off of Norma Jean's Bandcamp site. I do not recommend buying anything from Bandcamp, people. I'm sorry, but
What?
I've done it before.
I've
done
done
it
from
before,
Bandcamp
dude.
every now and again.
I have, but
I have for years.
some of the
Decades.
albums, some of the albums that I've bought off of Bandcamp, like some of the songs are messed up. I don't know what the deal is, but it's like it's only with Bandcamp. Everything else that I buy from like iTunes, stuff like that, I've never had any problems. It's only Bandcamp. Now, it's not every single album that I've bought off of there, but it's just like every once in a while, there's one album that has like a few songs that are just like messed up. So it's like
Huh.
buying a CD and it's got a big scratch on it, and so like you'll get stuck in one song and just kind of like go over and over and over in the same spot.
That's weird.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to buy from Bandcamp, go right ahead. I'll still buy from them every once in a while. I'm just very cautious about it. But anyway, the song that I'm talking about is called "Kill More Presidents." Josh, have you heard this one?
Yeah, that one sounds familiar to me.
It's honestly, dude, it is actually one of my favorite Norma Jean songs. Period. I love singing along to it. Um, the title seems a little weird, a little uncomfortable with that title, but it's a good song overall. Though I'm kind of like, I don't. I'm not saying that I promote killing people, but I like the
Yeah, but it's
song
one of
overall.
those things like
It's
I
like tongue
feel
in
like
cheek, almost, isn't it, or something?
well
I mean, it's
Norma
not like
Jean's
straight up.
I think Norma Jean's songs have most of the time never matched the name.
No, yeah,
So it's not like this is a song about killing presidents. Like it's not yeah.
yeah. There's more to it for sure, but it's a great
Yeah.
song. If you haven't heard it, people definitely go check it out. So
Yeah,
anyway, but that leads us.
I don't think I had this album. Like I don't think I had
You
this
haven't.
physical. Oh, I have it, but I
Oh,
had
physical.
like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I don't I didn't have the
So,
CD.
but yeah, this leads us into 2019's release on new label Razor and Tie Records. This is actually going to be the first album that they release on this new label. They are no longer with Solid State. It is Meridional, however the hell you say it again. Do you even know what that word means, Josh?
No.
So apparently it means southern direction on a globe. It's usually a term used in astrology, but in
Oh,
reference to
okay.
this.
So then it's meridional.
Okay.
I've heard that. So it's got
Okay.
to be that. I just
So
had
it's
no idea what
meridional.
it was. And because the
Okay.
album cover also gives you like
Dude, that I
there's
don't
too
get
much
that
going
album
on there.
cover though.
There's
It's
too
so much,
much going
but
on.
I will talk about that here in a second. But meridional, that's what you said, right? Meridional.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So it is also used as a tongue-in-cheek reference to Norma Jean's Southern roots. So that's one of the reasons why they picked that name for the album.
Okay.
Now, there are three other names that are used in astrology for directions, Northern, Eastern, and Western, that are album tracks on this album. And they're actually, from what I had read before, they're actually considered like experimental tracks. And if you listen to them, you'd get that because it's like way off track from like anything Norma Jean's ever done. It's just like it's usually kind of like instrumental stuff. There may be some speaking parts, or and I think there's like one that actually has like a little bit of singing in it, but they're usually like a minute long and just kind of a transition track. But they are again, I'm probably gonna destroy these names, but septentrional, I guess, which is northern, oriental, which is eastern, and occidental, which is western. And Josh is actually the last album with founding member Scotty Henry on guitar. So we are down to one final member that was there at the very beginning of all of this, Chris Day on guitar. This is actually Chris Rain's last album on drums. He was also on the last album, The Anti-Mother. So he was only on for 2 albums. This album was also met with favorable reviews. Do you remember the first time hearing this? And if you what did you think about it?
Just the album as a whole.
Yeah, as a whole.
I remember not knowing that Norma Jean had put out a new album. And then I figured out it was like a few months after it came out, I think. And this is 2010, right?
2009.
9. Okay. And yeah, I liked it because I always try to listen to it, beginning to end.
Yeah, as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember liking it. It's kind of the middle of the album that I feel like does the most for me.
Okay.
Bastardizer, media friendly.
Blood Burner.
Yeah, Blood Burner. Yeah, I mean those are probably like the sweet spot there for me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard it, it was a good album. I thought it was a good album, but it didn't really take hold of me until like a few years after listening to it when it first came out.
mhm,
And like going back and listening to it, I thought, wow, this, I don't know, just something about it just really pulled me in. And
mhm.
so it's now one of my like all-time favorite Norma Jean albums for sure.
Well, it's like a
Um,
super weird like few years right there. Like we talked about
yeah,
before, how Anti-Mother was way different than Redeemer,
yeah,
and like coming off of Redeemer, and then now we're starting to make. I feel like Anti-Mother's kind of the first, and then this is for sure like all in. But the
yeah.
sound that they cultivate like at this time is a simpler version of what we're looking at in these like later albums, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like this is where they started to develop that new style, or at least he did, because he's kind of, the only consistent member
Well, one
there.
I think one of the things too about this album and the last one is he is really starting Corey, that is really starting to contribute more on in terms of writing with guitar also. So he's not just doing vocals; he's doing a lot of guitar work on these last two albums. So I think that kind of changes the sound a little bit, and what makes these last two albums kind of seem different from like earlier Norma Jean stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I always thought of this album. It's kind of a weird description, but every time I listen to this album or I think of it, I always think of the album sounding like planets colliding together in space. Because sometimes, dude, it just seems like pure like chaos and destruction, you know?
Yeah.
And I think to me, I think that kind of goes hand in hand, going back to what you were just saying just a little bit ago about the album art. You look at it, it's just like so chaotic. Like you just don't even know what the hell is going on in there.
Yeah. It's like
Like a man is coming out of a trunk of an elephant. What the hell is that?
yeah. I mean, it's like multiple elephant heads, and there's like people, like full grown people that are like embryos inside the elephant, it looks like.
Yeah,
There's wolves. I think those are wolves. Yep. There's some kind
yeah.
of crazy jellyfish.
It's just insane, man.
Yeah, there's too much going on here. I think that was like one of the things when I saw this album that I was like, is this the same band? You
Right. You're
know?
like, wait, is this the same Norma Jean that I know of?
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I was looking back and forth between the actual album and what they have on Spotify, and the last few were weird. So track 9 on both of them, Falling from the Sky. Track 10, Everlasting Tapeworm. 11, Occidental. 12, People Surround You on an Everyday Basis. 13, Innocent Bystanders. And then the 14th track on the album that I have is Distance to Planets.
Yeah.
And then you said the other track is the one after that, right? Like the bonus
What are
track
they?
or whatever.
Well, from what I'd seen before, is it puts Kill More Presidents like I think before People Surround You on a daily basis, in between Everlasting Tapeworm and People Surround You on a daily basis. I don't know,
Okay.
it's really weird. But the those last two tracks that you're talking about, and actually there's a third one too. I don't remember
Well,
what it's called though,
one of
but it's
them, there's one that's
there's in
on
his
Spotify that's not on like the album, but it's in place of Distance to Planets, and it's called Oriental.
yeah, that's okay. So that one is it takes the hold on one second, let me pull up the album here on my phone.
Yeah, they both have 14 tracks, but the last one is
Right.
Oriental on one, and the last one is Distance to Planets on the other.
So Oriental takes It takes the song from Occidental and Septentrional, and it's like it mashes them all together. It's just like a
That's weird.
weird, yeah,
Like
it's
it
just a
plays at the
weird
same
like bonus
time.
song. Yeah,
Oh, I don't like that.
yeah, it's very weird. Um, but that's a bonus track, and so is Innocent Bystanders United and Distance to Planets. Yeah. And but yeah, I think from one of the track lists that I'd seen before, Gilmore Presidents being as a bonus track was put in like before the album was ever like truly finished. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like in the track listing.
Yeah.
It's like, you got your normal songs and then your bonus songs, but it's like it was before, it was after Everlasting Tapeworm and before People Surround You. That's kind of weird.
You ever see
Uh
any like bands that do that? Like you basically like hear their EP and then their first full length is just like the EP like plus a couple tracks, but it's just like EP super polished.
yeah.
I actually kind
I'm
of like
trying to think
that.
of a band.
Well, like okay, so the weddings, I don't remember the name of that album.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It was like the Rumble Down South was the EP, and it had like Wake the Regiment, Morning Air, and like all the songs, and then the full length had all like 4 or 5 songs from the EP plus a few more.
Yeah, their full length was just called The Wedding also.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of the other songs, because we've already mentioned a bunch of songs, but some of the other songs that we haven't mentioned that are on this album, the first two tracks actually, the hard hitting intro, Leaderless and Self Enlisted, and the
Yep.
crazy bass riff. I
That
love the
is a
bass
good
riff
one.
on this next one is Anthem of the Angry Brides. So yeah,
Dude,
that's
why does the
go ahead.
bass always come in like so hard at the beginning of like almost all their albums?
Ah man, I don't know, but that's what I love. I love a band that like lets their bass breathe and not just like hides it in the back.
Well, like one of my favorite tracks is Hive Minds, and like I
Yeah,
can't hear anything but the bass in that song.
yeah,
It's so good.
yeah. Well, it's got a nice riff to it too, so it gets stuck in your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that is Meridional, 2009 from Razor and Tie Records. Now, Josh, prepare yourself because we've got some more rotation in the member lineup.
What?
So,
No,
like I said,
they're gonna keep the same
go
guys forever. They're all best
right,
friends.
exactly. So, like I said before, Chris Raines leaves. He was the drummer, and one Matt Marquez, who is a current member now with Norma Jean, actually joins in 2009 as a touring drummer only. So he's not going to be on any albums until we get later on in the discography. And then, of course, Scotty Henry leaves. He is replaced by Jeff Hickey on guitar. And fast forward just a little bit here. Take that back. Don't fast forward. Rewind. uh, just real quick. Yeah, I know. I'm shuffling back and forth here. Real quick. We're not going to talk a whole lot about it, but I have one thing to say about this. 2010, the compilation album, Birds and Microscopes and Bottles of Elixirs and Raw Steak and a bunch of songs. What a weird album name, by the way. It's a greatest hits album from Norma Jean from Solid State Records, which is even more interesting because you're no longer with Solid State at this time, but they're going to go ahead and release an album in your name, basically, even though it's just like a great hits album. That's just kind of weird too.
That is weird.
Yeah. Here's the even weirder part to me. This album has all the songs from Bless the Martyr, Oh God, the Aftermath, and Redeemer. There's one album missing that was released by Solid State, and that's Anti-Mother. I question why they didn't release that
When
on
did it
this
come out?
album. 2007, I think. What are you talking about, Anti-Mother or this compilation album?
The compilation.
2010.
Okay.
Now
Yeah, I don't
you're
know.
talking
I
about 2 years
mean,
afterwards, but here's I I wonder
Maybe
about that, but
those
then here,
three were like the highest grossing. Maybe they're the most
well,
popular.
I would
I would
agree.
bet because I mean, Anti Mother has some good ones, but it's not
Right.
Redeemer. None of the
Right.
albums are Redeemer.
Right. Well, here's the other weird thing too I've noticed, and I can't 100% confirm it because I want to go back and really look and take an even deeper dive into like their set list history. But in like recent years, man, they'll play a lot of stuff, from all around, wrongdoers, bless the martyr, redeemer, meridian, whatever. If they do play anything from Anti Mother, it is like super ultra rare. And so I don't know if it's just the deal of like, yeah, maybe they don't like that album. They don't really like to play anything off that album. I don't know. It's just kind of strange to me. It almost feels like that album is taboo, you know?
It's got a few good tracks.
It does. I think so. I mean, and they're obviously playable live. I mean, it's not like they're tracks where it's like, yeah, that's more of a recording track and not one that we can actually play live.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
don't know.
It's just something to think about. Anyway, don't want to hang around on that one. Just wanted to mention that they Solid State released that minus Anti Mother. But anyway, now we can fast forward a little bit here. So, like I said, Matt Marquez is playing drums with them currently, only as a touring member. He will soon be replaced by Clayton Holyoke, who will be
Oh,
on
of
this next
course.
album. Yes. And Jake Schultz, the bassist, is leaving the band now, and he will be replaced by one John Finnegan on bass, which takes us into the next album. But just like the last album, Josh, Norma Jean releases a single to promote the new album. This one's a little bit different though, because it's only like 7 to 10 seconds long. And this song is entitled "Ah Shark Bite Ah." Have you heard this one, Josh?
Was there a little like promo video?
Yeah, it was just like shark attacks, like a big compilation of shark attacks.
Okay, yeah, I vaguely remember
Yeah.
that.
And if you don't know this song, I can quickly read the lyrics to you. It goes, "Ah, shark bite, ah," and that's it. And the song's over. So very deep meaning there. If you want to really dive into it, we are not going to on this episode. We just don't have time.
It's gonna pull you in.
We could probably talk
God,
about
dude,
those lyrics for a whole
I
episode, maybe one day. But
it's so terrible, and I don't even care because this album kicks so much ass.
what do you mean it's terrible? What are you talking about?
Oh, the little promo bit. The
Oh no, I
you know,
liked it. I liked it. I thought it was good. It was funny,
um,
but yeah.
well, I was just thinking about. It, I was
Anyway,
like, yeah, I'm meant to draw you in, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I don't know that I was super enticed going into this album. I was like, oh, cool, they're back to doing good artwork again, like for the albums. And I remember checking it out, and I was just like, okay, yes, like they still got a couple good ones to pump out.
right. Yeah,
Because
this album artwork's a little weird too, I think.
yeah,
It's cool, but it's a little weird. But anyway.
yeah,
But yeah, 2013's Wrongdoers released on Razor and Tie Records. Josh, unfortunately, this album comes with some sad news. This is actually going to be the last album featuring the last remaining founding member, Chris Day, on guitar, which is pretty crazy. And we'll talk about the sound change after this in the coming albums. But Corey's other brother, Adam Putnam, we talked about in the last episode about what was his other brother's name? I've forgotten now. Oh, what was his name? What was his name? His
other
name
Putman,
was
Putman too.
Matthew Putman. Yeah, Matthew Putman was the other one. But this album, Putman, excuse me, actually contributes vocals on one song, and I believe it was Sword and Mouth, Fire Eyes, if I remember correctly.
Okay,
Josh, I think some people, well, I think again, I think I'm gonna change this statement here to fit you, and then you tell me if it's true or not.
Okay.
Next to Redeemer,
Next
this
to
album
Redeemer.
this album is second best reviewed album. You think that's true?
Do I think that's true, or is that true in
In
my
your in your
opinion?
in your opinion, do you
In
think this is your second favorite?
for me personally, if I'm taking the nostalgia factor out of it, you
Mhm.
know, because Bless the Martyr has like it's got some sick riffs. Like
Yeah,
there's some great riffs in there.
right.
But like if I'm taking the nostalgia factor out, yeah, it probably goes Redeemer then Wrongdoers for me. And
Okay.
like
All
even
righty.
even Oh God, the Aftermath, like that's a great album. But I don't know, Redeemer really does it for me, and Wrongdoers did it for me the same way that Redeemer did for the first time in 3 albums, you know.
Okay.
So
Well, we'll talk a little more about favorite albums and stuff here later on. I just wanted to get a quick answer there. Got a little bit
you asked
longer
for
one
my
than I thought,
opinion.
but oh, man, I
You wanted
want your
my
opinion on
opinion
I want your
about
opinion on
facts.
these facts, man. Oh man. So songs that are included on this album, of course, like we just talked about, the biblically referenced sword in mouth, fire eyes. The nice little change of pace. If you've got it at 5, you've got it at 50, Josh, featuring one John Casey Wolfkindler of the one and the only The Chariot.
That song
Uh,
kills, and the
yes,
video is so good too.
yes, yeah. The chugging of the milk and then puking
Yes.
it up. Yeah. There's also the hard hitting song, The Potter Has No Hands, Funeral Singer, and probably one of their best outro songs on an album, Josh, Sun Dies, Blood Moon.
Yeah.
Uh, Man, yeah, that's it. I feel like that this album was kind of a re-energizer for this band. It kind of felt like they were kind of, I don't want to say slipping, but it felt like they were kind of maybe losing grasp a little bit of who they were. I really want to say that. I don't know. It just felt like they were kind of going down a little bit, and I feel like this album really kind of took them back up again. You know,
Yeah.
so but yeah, that is 2013's Wrongdoers. Now, Josh, skip ahead 2 years. Quick little mention. 2015 brought along the 10th anniversary since Oh God, the Aftermath was released. And you got to do it, man. You got to go on tour and you got to play that album entirety. And that's what Norma Jean did. I don't remember if they came through town to play this one. I don't think they did, but I wish they would have, man. I would have gone to that in a heartbeat because, again, that's one of my favorite albums for sure.
They should
Uh,
they should just stop um they should just stop making albums and just tour their most popular album every year and just tour it as like have you seen how Motion City Soundtrack does this?
no.
I don't think they put out an album in years and years. They just do the same tour every year and they change the number. It's the Commit This to Memory Tour 15-year anniversary. It's the Commit This to Memory Tour 16-year anniversary. They're on like
Are you
I think 17 or
serious?
18 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you hit a really good popular album like that, I mean,
I
people
mean,
will
why
come out
not?
for it for
People want to
sure.
see it. Like people want to see it, so why not?
Right, exactly.
Just tour that
Yeah.
forever. Why write new
Well,
albums and
and it's not like
write
you have to
stuff
go to
that people are
this
gonna hate? Like,
right, and it's not like you have to go to the same places too. I mean, there's so many places that you could visit just in America alone, and not, you know, be
be
stale,
doing like the exact same tour every year. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you would have to change up that set list though. I would think at certain points you would get pretty
Oh,
over it though.
yeah, you play the
I
whole
mean,
album, Commit This to
no, no,
Memory
no,
in its
no, no,
entirety.
no. I'm saying do the whole album. I'm just saying like mix the songs up instead of all right, here we go on track 5 again
No,
in the
people want to
same
hear that.
spot at the
People want to
same
hear
time, man.
people want to hear the album in its entirety in the same order.
Yeah. Wouldn't you think though it would get like monotonous though for the band members just to be playing that over and over and over?
They're doing it. It can't be too bad. They've done it at least 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah. Well, hmm. When the suicide rate skyrockets in Motion City soundtrack, band members will know the truth. No.
They love it. They're just raking in the money. They love it.
Yeah, they probably don't care. They're making money, man. 2015 also brings us not just the Oh God, the Aftermath tour, but a return to Solid State Records, which they will be with,
Which were the
to
best
this very day,
years,
man. Yes,
except for
exactly.
Wrongdoers.
Yeah, exactly. Razor and Tie has rights to that one. Like I said, Chris Day is gone. He would leave shortly after Oh God, the Aftermath tour, and would be replaced by Philip Harris on guitar. All right, Josh. Personally, I would say this next album is my least favorite of all their
Really?
albums.
I did not think you were going to say that.
Yeah,
I thought
don't
I
know,
was going to
man.
have to be the one that was like, eh. And you were going to be like, no, this one is so good.
No, I mean, there's good songs on it, but as a whole, I'm just kind of like, it feels like there's something missing, man. I don't know, and I think it goes with the whole deal of there's no more founding members, and so I feel like the sound. This is where the sound really changes, starting with this album and then going over the next two. But it's 2016's Polar Similar from Solid State Records. Like I said, no founding members on this one. Chris Day is gone. This is actually, I didn't realize this until going back and looking at the history. Josh, did you realize that Clayton Holyoke was still playing drums on this album? I could have swore it was a different drummer.
Polar Similar?
Yeah, because he was on
No, I
Wrongdoers, and
guess not.
I feel like the drum style is different than it was
It's
on
so
Polar
much
or
better.
with on Wrongdoers.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Wrongdoers
But
is
this
just
is
like, it's so chaotic and like right back to old Norma Jean, you know?
yeah, exactly. Well, it's chaotic from beginning to end, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Just like one long continuous thing, man, which I love.
Polar
But yeah, this
Similar is like,
is
oh, I'm gonna do another art project. The other album was doing really great and people really loved it. But
I
did you
gotta
say it
express
actually
something else, man.
was like the second highest selling of their albums?
Which one?
Wrongdoers.
No, I was saying that next to Bless, I was gonna say Bless the Martyr, but I knew because you liked Redeemer, I wanted to ask you. But next to Bless the Martyr, this album is actually their second best reviewed album.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know about selling and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, popular
Anyway,
opinion's the same. It's fine.
yeah. Well,
It's
our
not the
opinion on the
same, but
facts, man.
that's what I care about.
Yeah. Anyway, Polar Similar. Last album with Clayton Holyoke on drums and the last album with John Finnegan on bass. I will say, I feel like Finnegan on bass was kind of a underrated member. I really liked him on bass. Not just playing like on the record, but like him live, watching live videos. I thought he brought the energy, man. He really did. And though he always wore sleeveless shirts too. He just looks so southern, you know. Anyway, this is actually going to be the only album with guitarist Philip Harris. Thank God, because I really was not a huge fan of his work on this album. Once again,
Well,
man, the Putman brothers strike again, man. Adam Putman is featured on this album with additional percussion and vocal contributions. And contrary to our opinion, this album was actually met with high praise somehow, some way. I don't know. I'm not really sure why.
there's there's
Go ahead, lay it out. Give me your opinion on
some
the facts, Josh.
there's some okay ones in here. It's just not the same. And coming off of one that was so strong, like Wrongdoers, like it's gonna be hard
I
to
was about
hit
to
the
say,
same
yeah,
way,
that's
you
hard
know.
to,
This is just like
yeah,
a completely different sound to me.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. The first track's good. The Planet. Um, Million Watts. That's not bad. What's the one that starts with the
Oh, the people. Yeah.
yeah.
It's actually
Okay.
a sample from the Lincolnshire Poacher Number Station Cipher, wherever the heck that is. Yeah, I don't
You
know.
see,
It's
this is
creepy
the
though.
problem.
It's
This is
creepy
part of
though
the problem
when
with
you're
this album.
listening to it on a drive home at like midnight. It's creepy to listen to.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, the amount of times I've listened to this, like driving home, like super late at night. Oh, it's so good though. Because
Yeah.
especially like right as you're like starting to get kind of creeped out, you're like, oh God, this is not a good idea. Then it kicks into like the
Death.
actual
Yeah.
part of the song, which is
Yeah.
really good.
Well,
Like,
it kicks into the next song, Death. Death. Death is a living partner or something like that.
oh,
Yeah.
so the people is just that.
Yeah. It's just that little
Oh,
sample. It's just
okay.
kind of a transition track.
Okay. Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
next one, the Death is a Living Partner, that one feels kind of it's the most, it's the track that feels the most like Wrongdoers on the album.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. There's also Synthetic Sun and probably my favorite on the album, A Thousand Years a Minute. But yeah, it's I don't know, just just didn't feel good. Of course, again, it's like when you're trying to follow up wrongdoers that set the bar so high, it's hard to hit it out of the park again. And I think again, I attribute one of the reasons why I didn't like it so much was because of the sound change with no founding members. So it felt like a different kind of Norma Jean to me.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Synthetic Sun is good too. There's
yes.
some good tracks. It's
Yeah,
just
it is.
different and it's not as good as Wrongdoers. I'm sorry, I keep saying it, but it's not as good as the album before it, so it's hard to feel the same way about it.
Yeah. Okay, so which one do you like better then, Anti Mother or Polar Similar? Because I feel like it's kind of the same thing where it's like there's some good songs on each, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it just feels different. It doesn't really feel right as a whole.
I almost don't want to say it out loud, but
I'm saying Anti Mother, bro.
are you?
I am.
I'm having a look
You
at
going?
the line on Anti Mother again here. It's got Self-Employed Chemist, which is one of my favorite Norma Jean songs.
Come on, go with Anti Mother. Go with Anti Mother. Do it. Do it. You want to? 3, 2, 1. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Yeah, I'd probably
Do
go
it.
with this one.
What? Polar Similar?
No, with Anti
Oh,
Mother. Polar
okay.
Similar is just it's too spotty.
Yeah. No, I agree. I
Like
agree.
there's like the planet's good, but then everyone talking over everyone else, meh. Forever hurtling towards Andromeda, meh.
Meh.
Like I think you're like back to good for like three songs. Oh, okay, like four songs. You got like four good ones there. And then Reaction. I don't give a shit about Reaction. The Nebula, don't care about that one. The Close and Discontent, don't care about that. An Ocean of War, don't care about that. Like, yeah, it's like until the end there. So there's like just as many tracks on here that it's like 50-50.
Man, and I will say, what's the last song on the album? The Nexus?
The
Is that what it's
Nexus.
called?
Yeah.
I will say, kind of like what we were talking about earlier about Wrongdoers, just as an album, like setting the bar really high. Dude, for me personally, Sun Dies, Blood Moon set the bar so high for every final song now that Norma Jean puts out that I was so disappointed with the Nexus, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's actually a B-side single that was released in 2019 that was off of Polar Similar called Children of the Dead. Have you heard that one, Josh?
I don't think I've heard that one.
It's a pretty good one. I mean, there's not like a whole lot of lyrics to it. It's just kind of a fast kind of song, kind of like Death is a Living Partner. You check it out. It's pretty good. It's not terrible, but it's pretty good. Yeah. All right, Josh. 2019, bro. Here we go. Norma Jean releases I believe they let the fans basically pick it in a Twitter poll. The album name All Hail from Solid State Records, which just seems right. It just kind of became a phrase by that time. It seemed like to all hail the mighty Norma Jean. All hail. But this is actually the last album with guitarist Jeff Hickey. And it's going to be the first album with new guitarist Grayson Stewart. And Matt Marquez, that we talked about earlier as a touring member on drums, is actually going to join the band full time now. And this is actually going to be his first album with the band. And there's actually no true bass player on this album, Josh. It was shared by some of the guitarists. And I think Corey himself also contributed to that also. And once again, the Putman brothers strike. Matthew Putman is back, adding percussions, drums, production, and songwriting contributions to this album, Josh. And this album is also met with high praise. What do you think, man? What do you think about All Hail in 2019?
I think I've only listened to this album maybe like once or twice through.
Okay.
Because this comes out like beginning of the pandemic. And I did a good stint there where I was just like not listening to that much music and mostly just like listening to podcasts and
Yeah. No, I hear you. I was the same way too. It's like I listened to it, I think, one time through. And that was like while I was doing other things, just having like music on in the background. And so like I really wasn't paying attention to a whole lot. So I listened to that one time all the way through. And then like I didn't pick it up again until probably close to 2021, beginning of 2021. And that's when I like really dived into it, man. And I really love this album. I think the very beginning, I love the first song, Orphan Twin.
Is this
Go
still on Solid State?
Yeah, they're still on
Okay.
Solid State up to this day. They only had that little stint of 2 albums where they were on Razor and Tie. But yes, this is Solid State. I love the first track, Orphan Twin. To me, it kind of dips for 2 songs, and then it really picks up with the transitional track, Volunteer, Teeth Filing. And from there, man, all the way to the very end, I love every single song, and it just feels like a constant like punch to the face every time a new song comes on. I love it though. It's one of my favorite albums by Norma Jean for sure.
Is in your top 3?
I'll say top 4. I don't want to commit to anything right this second. I don't know. I got to sit down and like really like feel it out, and think about it, which will, like I said, we'll get to all that stuff here in just a little bit. But anyway, I'd already talked about Orphan Twin, the opening track, which is a nice punch to the face to wake you up. There's also Landslide Defeater, With Errors, Trace Levels of Dystopia, and If Loss, Then Leader, and the grand finale featuring the vocalist from Silent Planet. Can't think of his name all of a sudden. Something Russell. If you know it, Josh, let me know. But it's a great final track called Anna. But yeah, like I said, I like this album. Josh, did you? I don't remember if you told me yay or nay on this album.
I mean, from what I remember seeing, it's Garrett Russell, by the way.
Garrett Russell, there we go. Great vocalist.
I remember listening to this album and not being like offended by it like I was a little bit the first time with a couple of the others, or like,
You about made me spit water, man.
Like you said, it takes a couple listens to like Meridional,
Yeah.
and Anti-Mother's like weird. The album after a really strong one always feels super weird and never really sits right with me.
Well, again, Wrongdoers. I mean, like you said, and then like you said, you like Redeemer, so yeah, Anti-Mother is a little different. It's just hard, man. When the bar is set so high, it's
There's
hard to keep like
bands
going
can do
up,
that,
man.
dude.
Yeah.
Just like keep like leveling up. That was one of the super messed up things about like losing Every Time I Die, because every album like in that progression from start to finish, he's just like a step better, a step better,
Yeah.
step better, and it just gets all the way there. And like, honestly, kind of thank God that they did break up, because how could they possibly make another one that's like,
Better than Radical. Yeah.
yeah, I don't even know how many albums they have now, but it's like Norma
It's a
Jean, it's a
lot. They have quite a
ridiculous
few,
amount.
man. Yeah.
Like when we
Yeah.
do them, that'll be a long one.
Yeah. Maybe 3 or 4 parter. There's a
Yeah,
lot to talk about in that one for sure.
there's a lot.
All right. That is 2019's All Hail from Solid State Records. All Hail the Mighty Norma Jean.
Did
And here we are, Josh. Go ahead.
did the mirror and the second veil get anywhere close to Sundial's Blood Moon?
I don't think anything's really going to top Sun Dies Blood Moon, but it is a good instrumental outro, I think. What do you think? You like it?
Yeah. And even like I was listening to Nexus like a little bit
Mhm.
earlier. Like Nexus goes pretty hard, like at least through the first half of the song.
Yeah.
But
It's just again for like to me, that's what you're saying about Wrongdoers as an album followed
yeah,
by Polar Similar. That's like what it is to me for Sun Dies Blood Moon to Nexus. It's just like, oh man. But it's like expectations are like unreal. It's almost like you want the same thing, like same song and everything, just on a new album. It's like you can't expect that,
how
or
could
same exact structure, just like different lyrics or something.
how could Once Nothing ever top the end of one of their albums after How to Build a Sandcastle?
Exactly, man. Leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting the full song.
That's why there's only one full length album, and they just put out a couple of EPs after that.
Yeah. That's hard. I don't know. That's a good album overall though. So that's really
I listened
gonna
to it this
be,
morning. It's an amazing
yeah,
album.
that's gonna be tough to come back from. Are they even together right now or not? They were so like for like the last like 5 years, they were kind of like on and off, on and off, on and
I
off.
think they were gonna do like a little tour or something, because I got you that shirt,
Yeah.
and they had like just put that out. Like they were doing some kind of like reunion show or something like that.
Yeah.
So
All right, man. Let's talk about the brand new album just came out not so long ago, 2022's Death Rattle Sing for Me from Solid State Records. Josh, I think I said this to you. If I didn't say it to you, I said it to a friend. If nothing else, for me personally, before I ever listened to this album, the name of the album and the album art did it enough for me. It was I love the name of the album, and I love the artwork. It's just
you like
insane to
the
me.
artwork?
I like the artwork. I think it's kind of cool, man.
I think it's stupid.
You're stupid.
No, I just like I don't know.
No, go
It's-
ahead, critique it, or let me hear it. I want to hear what you don't like about it.
It's this Norma Jean shit of they just constantly bounce back and forth between like having really great album art, and then like I don't know what this one's supposed to mean. It's like the inside of like a wave, like watch or
It's like weird too because like it's like the inside of a wave, but it's almost like it's kind of like a burnt picture too. I don't know. It's really weird. And then there's like like a girl like ascending into the sky, which is weird
What?
because you don't see that in like the very center of it.
okay.
But to me, it's like I see that and I'm like, that looks like they stole that from Manchester Orchestra's last album. If you know,
Yeah.
you know. But anyway, before we dive into the songs and everything, Josh, because I want to get your opinion on this one because we've talked about it. A few little notes here. Once again, the Putman brothers strike again. Matthew Putman is back, adding percussions, drums, production, and songwriting contributions to this album. And so far, it's only been out for like a week or two. From what I have read, this album is being met with high praise reviews. But we don't care about everybody else's reviews. We want to know what Josh really thinks about this album. Take it away, Josh. Give me
The
your
f-
opinion on the facts.
the first track, I would have loved it if they hadn't done the whole thing and with a like faded like effect,
Okay.
where everything sounds like super hollow.
Oh yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember who was that? I think it was there was an Under Oath album
Okay.
that started pretty much the same way.
And the album started it. Oh, is it Lost in the Sound of Separation?
No, I was thinking oh no, it's disambiguation, I think. I think so.
Okay. It that album starts with the keyboards. With what's his name's keyboards going. I was thinking Lost in the Sound of Separation because it's drums
I was about to
and
say, I think
Spencer's
you're
vocals.
yeah, I think you're right.
Let's like go listen to that real quick. I'm pretty sure that's what it is because it sounds like they're in like a hole. Him and Aaron playing in a hole basically. He's looking it up. While he's looking it up, a few songs that are on this album are like Josh was just talking about the intro song 1994, the experimental track Call for the Blood, Spearmint Revolt, Area Obscura, the hard hitting kind of up and down roller coaster song, A Killing Word, and Sleep Explosion. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh yeah, we're talking about that Under Oath album.
Yeah. Was it Lost in the
Yeah,
Sound of Separation? Okay.
that's what I was thinking of. But the difference is like this whole song, they use that all the way through. Like it never
Right.
changes. In Lost in the Sound of Separation, it um like after maybe like 45 seconds of using that, like with the drums and the vocals on it, then it kicks over to like normal, and like really hits
Yeah.
hard because there's so much good stuff going on in there, but it just doesn't hit as hard because it sounds like it's all down a hallway,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I hear you.
It would have been cool to like start it with that and then like then really kick it in,
Yeah.
but it never happened. So I was like, oh, just kind of disappointed.
I will say, a lot of people were kind of like I don't want to say a lot of people didn't like Call for the Blood, but they felt like it was, it was definitely different than like a normal Norma Jean song. But I felt like I liked it more on the album than just a standalone because of the transition from 1994 to Call for the Blood, and then the transition from Call for the Blood to Spearmint felt a little bit better than just having that song as its own. But what else, Josh? Is there other stuff you didn't like about this album?
Not really. It just doesn't. I don't know. From what like I remember so far, it just doesn't. It doesn't hit as hard for me as some of the others.
Like Redeemer
Yeah,
or Wrongdoers?
or wrongdoers. Yeah,
Yeah, I think for me the my biggest complaint. I like the album. It's a good album. I mean, it's not one of my favorite for sure, but it's still a good album. I think one of my biggest complaints though is, and I think I was spoiled by All Hail because it was just kind of a continuous, like heavy hitting, kind of like Wrongdoers too. Um, there's too much like I feel like there's several songs in there where it's just like instead of just keeping the pace going, it kind of like slows it down and kind of drags it a little bit, and then it kicks back up again, then like it drags again. I don't remember what the songs, which ones they are exactly, but there to me it's like there's too many like slow, softer songs for like a Norma Jean album than I'm used to.
yeah,
With Norma Jean, I feel like it's just like a constant like go, 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 heavy, heavy, heavy. And I mean, you might have like one where it kind of breaks down a little bit, like like a media friendly term for the worse, or a sword and mouth, fire eyes. But for the most part, I feel like most of your album from a Norma Jean is supposed to be just like continuous in your face.
yeah,
So
yeah. I don't know. I'll definitely listen to it a couple more times and
Have you only listened
kind
to
of
it once?
see. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Well, that's it. That is their albums. So looking at the current lineup, Josh, in 2022, we have Corey Putman on vocals, Clay Crenshaw on guitar, Grayson Stewart on guitar, Michael Palmquist on bass, and Matthew Marquez on drums. I didn't get a chance to really look like how many member changes there were. I ran out of time. Uh, but I
well, I
would
mean, we both looked at the
guess,
chart. The chart looks ridiculous.
yeah. If you go onto Wikipedia and look like one of those charts where it's like a graph or whatever, yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, it's done by like
Uh,
color what they played in the band at the
right,
time,
yeah,
because some people were in it for like multiple years but played different things over those years, and then they came back at a different time and played something
right,
else.
yeah, it's crazy. Question for you, Josh.
All right.
What do you think the future holds for Norma Jean, man?
I'm
First off, I think we kind of mentioned in this last episode. Corey's not a young man anymore, and I mean, Corey is Norma Jean. Whether we want to admit it or not, Corey is Norma Jean. There are other main members that are in the band. They don't really stick around as much as Corey has, but he is the main guy in Norma Jean. So I feel like if he quits, then Norma Jean's over with. I don't think anybody else can really pick it up like he did and take it. But he's getting up there. I think he in his 40s. Did we determine he was in his 40s?
I don't know. We
I
talked
think
about
if
it
he
the
is, I
other
want to
day.
say 40 or 41, maybe, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, I just feel like, dude, he's 46 years old.
He's 46.
He's 46 years old.
Ugh. Oh my
Yeesh.
god,
Anyway,
he is.
yeah.
What
But
the
anyway,
hell, dude?
yeah, I know, right? Time flies, man. But anyway,
What the fuck?
I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna be his decision to make whether, they continue on or they just finish. He does have
Dude,
two
are you gonna be
other
doing Norma Jean when you're 50?
maybe, maybe, man.
That's too much.
Yeah. I mean, his vocals they're still there, man.
I knew
They're
Keith
obviously not what they used to be, but
I knew Keith Buckley was getting up there too, but I can't remember how old he was.
yeah. But anyway, Corey's got two other side projects. He's got one with his brother, Matthew Putman, called Orphan Twin. They just started that. It's a rock duo band, kind of like 68, where it's just guitar and drums. And he's also got one, I think, that actually has some previous members of Norma Jean called, I think, 1,000 Suns is what it's called. But they haven't put anything in a while. So, I mean, he's got different things going on besides Norma Jean. Obviously, he has a family too. He is married. He does have kids. He's 46 years old, man. So, in your opinion, Josh, do you think Norma
Keith
Jean's going
Buckley's
to be
42, by the way.
okay? Do you think, in your opinion, Norma Jean's going to be around in the next 10 years?
Like 10 years from now, do I think they're still gonna
Yeah,
be
10
trying to
years
put
from
out an
now, do you
album?
think they'll? Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think they might put out another album or two, but I
You don't
don't
think you don't think this might be their last album?
I don't know it's gonna go much further.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're so big on All Hail. It sounds like they might should have stopped there.
Maybe.
Go out on
No,
a
I
high
don't think
note.
they should have stopped. I mean, if you still got the passion for it, then go for it. I mean, as long as your albums aren't just like totally sucking. And I don't think we can say that they are at the sucking point.
No, they just
But
I'd like for them to put out one more just killer album and then just call it quits. Just go out on top.
what if they decided they're gonna put out a new album in 2023 and it's gonna be called Redeemer 2 Electric Boogaloo, and it's where they basically just redo all of Redeemer.
I'm into that because Converge did that. They
Really?
re-recorded, yeah, they re-recorded
Oh,
their album. It's not Jane Doe, it's not Axe to Fall. Oh my god. I'm
I'd say
embarrassing
that I say
myself.
that like I was surprised that somebody did that. I mean, I know bands that have done that before, so I don't know why I was like, "What? Really? They did that?"
Yeah. I think there's definitely a couple other bands that have done it too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's You Fail Me.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
think I
but dude, it
think
sounds so good. It sounds so good because there's some songs on there that just like are so brutal. And then, but they don't sound as good because the production quality that they had then was like really bad. Also, they
yeah,
like weren't as good of musicians because it was like, you know, 10 to 15 years earlier.
right.
Um,
I think Silverstein did that with When Broken is Easily Fixed, and I will say it was very disappointing, only because I really liked Shane's vocals in the early days of I almost said Norma Jean of Silverstein, like their first two albums, and like now it's like his vocals are so different, and it's like, ugh, no, it does not sound good, bro.
yeah,
But yeah, because I think When Broken is Easily Fixed is probably my favorite Silverstein album for sure. But yeah,
I'm more of
speaking
a
of, go
discovering the
ahead.
waterfront man
That's
myself.
it's a good one, man. That's a good one too, man. That is a good one also. But hey, speaking of favorite albums and songs and such, Josh, let's break down our favorite stuff from Norma Jean. You want to?
Let's talk about
I mean,
other.
we've already kind of talked about
I'm
some of that
like,
stuff,
nah,
but
let's not talk about Norma Jean. Let's talk
let's
about other bands we like. What other
no,
albums you like? Let's get into this.
yeah, exactly. Josh, well, before I say this, you viewers who are listening or watching at home, you can also uh, follow along with us. Let us know what your favorite song, album, opening track is. Just leave those in the comment section. Let us know what you think also. So, Josh, first and foremost, man, what is your favorite album? I think I can guess it, but go ahead and tell us.
It
We
is
at
a
least got two. We at
hard.
least got two choices for Josh, right?
Yeah, my top three is easily, and not this order, but Bless the Martyr, Redeemer, and Wrongdoers.
Okay.
Um, it is hard without the nostalgia to like
Factor, yeah.
keep, yeah, to keep Bless the Martyr up there for me. It's a great album, but um, I don't know. It is a hard toss up for me between Redeemer and Wrongdoers.
I really thought it would be Redeemer, but
Redeemer
I
is
don't know.
so good.
Yeah. I mean, you can say both if you want. That's fine.
Yeah, it's going to be too
I'll
much of a
allow it
tie for me. Yeah.
between those two. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, see, and you only had two you had to choose from. I got like several because I love Oh God, the Aftermath. I love Redeemer. Oh man, I love Meridian or Wrongdoers, and I love All Hail. God, this sucks. Oh man, I think I'm just gonna go with Redeemer.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons why I want to say that is because again, like I said in the last episode, that was the first album that introduced me to Norma Jean and I was just hooked from the album artwork, and then that wasn't even just putting the CD in yet, that was just looking at the cover.
Yeah.
And then once you put the CD in, it's like, okay, I can get with this stuff, Because that was definitely
That
like early
that
on in
red
like my
CD,
music.
pop that
Yes,
red
yeah,
CD in.
exactly, man, exactly. Josh, do you have a favorite song by Norma Jean?
Self-employed chemist is definitely up there. It's
Okay.
pretty high up there.
Hmm.
And it's not even on one of my like favorite albums, you know?
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
the
Yeah.
other two just go together so well as a whole. Um, Whoop.
He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it.
I think I told you too that Hive Minds is pretty high up there for me.
That bass line, yeah. Do,
Yeah.
do, do,
Those two
do,
songs
do,
back to
do, do,
back,
do, do, do,
Hive
do,
Minds,
do,
and
do.
if you got it at 5, you got it at 50.
Yeah.
So good. And then
It's tough, man. It's
it
tough.
is tough. It is tough. Grand scene for a color film, like just the way Redeemer kicks off is so. Yeah, I don't know. If my favorite album is Redeemer, then my favorite song is Grand Scene. If my favorite album is Wrongdoers, it's probably I'll go with Hive Minds. They both have
Okay.
really good opening tracks. That's the other thing that kind of burned me a little bit about the new album, man, was there's some really good opening Norma Jean tracks. And that was one of the ones, unfortunately, that I felt like really could have hit for me, but
Yeah.
they didn't. They just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
that's his choice. I'm not, the entire
Right.
audience,
No,
but
everybody's entitled to their opinion,
that's what
even
would
if it's
have
wrong. But
made it work for me.
yeah. I would say that mine is not even on my. Well, it was one of the albums that I listed, but I got to go with scientification. I'm not saying the other part of the song title is too much, man. But that's just I think it's
Is
a
that
good
off
song
Oh God, the
overall.
Aftermath?
Yes, the very very last song off of Oh God, the Aftermath. And that's the one that ends with the repeating lyrics of messenger follows messenger follows messenger follows messenger follows messenger follows messenger. And I just
Yep.
love that, man.
A
It's
clot
a
of
it's a good
tragedy,
song,
a
man.
swarm of defecation.
Yes, exactly. um but yeah, I would have to go with that one. I think definitely I think that's definitely my favorite. It's
Oh
really, I
God,
mean,
the
I
Aftermath
really,
is such a good album too.
yeah, I was like super close to saying that, oh God, the Aftermath is my favorite, but I think Redeemer definitely takes the cake on that one. Just barely. But Josh, you were talking about opening tracks, man. I want to know, as if it wasn't hard enough for you to choose between your favorite albums, two albums, and then your favorite song off of those two albums. What's your favorite opening track now, even though you just mentioned both of them?
I
So
mean,
I
yeah,
want you to
both of my
choose.
favorite
I
songs
want
are.
you. I want you to choose one of those, man.
Um, let me see.
Oh, he's doing some studying here. He's doing some comparing. Let's see what he comes up with. Josh is on the green. He's lining up his shot. And here
I'm
it
gonna
comes.
throw a curveball your way here.
Oh no, here we go, man. Let's hear it.
It's The Entire World Is Counting on Me.
Okay. Okay. Go a little Scoggin. Okay. I like that, man. I like that. It's a good opening track for sure, man. Yeah, for sure. Okay. I think
Completely off
I'm
topic. What's your favorite Chariot song?
favorite Chariot song.
Yeah, you
I'm
said
going to
Scoggins. You said
hold.
the magic word.
I know. I'm going to hold off on that one, man, because Josh, our next
Oh,
episode is the Chariot. So be sure to stick around for my favorite song in the next episode.
I'm just
Oh
gonna tell
man.
you mine. Mine's
No,
Daggers.
no, no. Yeah, I knew that. I knew it was that, man. I was actually just listening to that song the other day and I thought, I wonder if this is Josh's favorite song still.
Yeah, it is my
But yeah,
favorite Chariot song for sure.
Daggers. My favorite opening track by Norma Jean, not the Chariot, but Norma Jean, is Grand Scene for a Color Film for sure.
That one
Gotta
gets.
break out.
Oh
We
God, that
gotta
one
gotta
gets you
break out them
going.
shotguns, man, and go to town. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, Josh. Final question here before we wrap it up. Which song, Josh, Out of all the songs Norma Jean has ever put out, would you recommend to a brand new listener? First time listener, you gotta make a good impression, man. First impressions are everything. They've come to you saying, Josh, I need something new, man. I'm so sick and tired of this hip hop and this Nickelback rock that we're have to force to listen to on the radio these days. Give me something new, man.
Is Nickelback still a band?
I wouldn't surprise me.
Well, are they going to be into the sound of new Norma Jean, or are they going to be into the sound of old Norma Jean?
You got to
I don't.
I'm saying like if it's almost like you got to pick a song from Norma Jean that would almost encompass everything that they are. I don't even know if there's really a song out there that would, but I don't know, just something that would like introduce people into it. Whether that's something off your favorite album or your favorite song. Just a song that you think would be a good first one for a brand new person to Norma Jean.
I feel like accessibility wise, you might want to hit them with something like man, the name's totally escaping me now.
Is it off of one of their newer albums?
No, middle of
Okay.
the pack. Media
Okay.
friendly term for the worse.
I agree with that.
Uh,
That's a good one.
yeah, I
Okay.
feel like that would be a good entry point. It's still kind of
It's
accessible.
got it's got a good mix, I feel like, of what Norma Jean is. It's got your really heavy, hard hitting, um, verses, but then it's got a good, nice chorus with Corey's really good, clean vocals. I feel like, especially once we get to like the middle of the pack right there in like Meridional and even like Wrongdoers, I feel like his clean vocals really hit his high point for sure.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. Yeah, I might try to hit them with a little bit of Redeemer. Like there's some stuff that's get you going. I don't
Yeah.
know that Wrongdoers is much of an entry point or really any of those tracks. Maybe
No.
like if you got it at 5, you got it at 50. I could see maybe somebody being into that, but
Yeah. And I think it just, I think it kind of like what you're saying. You kind of have to gauge the person's interest too. It's like, are you really into the heavy constant stuff, or do you like a little bit of mixture of everything, or whatever, to try to figure out like, okay, well, this song is best for you.
yeah.
But I just kind of wanted to know a song, maybe just in general, of like, yeah, if I had to show it to somebody, this would be the first one to come to mind or
Well, it's
whatever.
tough because you got to think about your first reaction is to be like, I want to show them something that I like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
something that hits for me. But
Right.
you got to think about like, the
What they
accessibility. Like,
like.
what's the point of entry here? Like
Right.
where's
Exactly.
best to bring somebody in and show them something that might get them to check out the whole thing. You
Okay. Let
know,
me let me let me try this way then, real quick. If I had never heard of Norma Jean before, just based off of how you know me and my music and everything, which song would you recommend to me?
I'd probably hit you with some Redeemer or
Some
like
Redeemer. Okay.
anything Redeemer or before that.
Okay.
But if it was just like a friend of mine who listened to like completely different stuff, like didn't listen to anything like that, then it would be something that you might hear on an alternative like radio somewhere, like
Yeah.
sometime,
Okay.
a song like that of Norma Jean's that is a little bit more accessible for people.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, all right, man. That's gonna do it for this episode. Somehow, some way, we made it through the history of Norma Jean in just two parts,
Yeah,
two
I thought it was gonna be a
episodes, I guess you could
three-parter
say.
maybe.
Yeah, I had a feeling, especially when we started this one and we were kind of stuck on Meridional for a little while there. I was like,
Yeah.
we're never gonna finish this, man. In my mind, I was thinking that. But anyway, Yeah, that's gonna do it. So make sure to follow us on Twitter at is survived by pro for news and new episode postings. Make sure to tell us what you think of the show by leaving us a review and a comment on whatever podcasting service you are using. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, and to leave a comment. And again, if you want to join in, let us know your favorite album, song, opening track from an album, and which song you would recommend to a new listener. Like I said, next week or next episode will be the next best thing to Norma Jean, if not even better, The Chariot. Much anticipated episode for that one. Josh, you got anything else?
Just make sure you follow me on my personal at Joshua Lynn Gary at Twitter.
Yes.
And that's where you can let me know if you conceived a Red Right Hand podcast, baby.
That's right, people. He said Red Right Hand podcast, baby. Make sure to also go check out our other podcast, the Red Right Hand podcast, the show where we talk about each and every episode of the Peaky Blinders. And
if your
also,
child was conceived in December of last year when our podcast started.
Yeah. Well, if your child was conceived between May 2021 and August 2022, you may be qualified to be a Red Right Hand Baby podcast. Podcast baby. Baby podcast. We got to get out of here, man.
Boring as hell, listening to the Red Right Hand podcast, and you made a Red Right Hand podcast, baby.
Where are you insinuating that we're making people horny?
The podcast is.
It's not us. It's the podcast,
it's
man.
Just the podcast.
It has special powers, man.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's gonna do it for us. We'll see you in the next episode.
See ya.